There are a few rules a Hooters girl must never forget. Hair and makeup. Entertain the men. Don't make the women jealous. Don't wear the uniform out of the store. And never leave the restaurant alone. That last one, that was to protect the girls from the creeps. It was a great job. The customers loved you. The tips flowed like hot sauce. And the days were just one long party. Great, except for the managers. These assholes thought they were the gods of their own harems. They would expect you to worship the ground they walk on, while they told you you put on 3 pounds. Look at this picture we took at the interview. This is who we hired. If you are not her, then you don't have a job here, was the kind of shit they said all the time. Some girls who did have trouble dropping the weight sometimes had to do gross things to keep their jobs. Not me though. God granted me with a metabolism where I could eat 12 wings a day on the house, and then just dance it off every dinner rush. Things were great, until we got a new regular. He called himself Mr. Barrett, wore a bowler hat, a striped vest, and an obnoxious gold belt buckle. He had a long mustache, spoke with a hard-to-place European accent, and always paid in cash. At first, Barrett was the most popular customer in the house. He came in during slow hours, and his tips were sometimes bigger than the check. He never complained, and never tried to touch the girls, but still, instead of fighting for him, most waitresses tried to dodge his table. It was the conversation he insisted on. It got, well, personal. Not like those guys who would ask you your cup size, or if the carpets matched the drapes. Barrett would ask you why we did this job, and never took a lie for an answer. In the time you did the Hooters greeting and took his order, he could break through your mental defenses in a way 3 psychologists over 5 years of bi-weekly appointments failed to do for me. After throwing his order in the kitchen, I had to run into the bathroom sobbing and then fix my makeup. That night I had cried about my father walking out on my mother in a way I had never done before. It felt like someone grabbed my old scabbed wounds and tore them open to bleed anew. And I got a $50 tip for 1 plate of wings. The managers, on the other hand, seemed to love him. I think they had instinct to kiss up to money. And from Barrett's watch to his car, this man radiated wealth. They took every opportunity they could to stop by the table, say hello, or somehow engage in conversation. It was like being rich was contagious, and they just needed to catch the bug. Then the Dylan and Kelly thing happened, and the weird customer became a side problem. Kelly claimed Dylan, our assistant manager, forced her to do stuff she didn't want to keep her job. Police said there was no sign of force, and corporate just started dragging their feet. Everyone pretty much took it like doing stuff with management was cost of doing business. Things were escalating. Girls were talking about striking. Management was getting only more obnoxious and telling us we could be replaced at the drop of a hat. If we didn't like being here, we could just leave. Then there was the incident. Dylan had a flat tire on the highway, driver's side. He decided to change it himself and pull over to the side of the road. What happened next was reconstructed by forensics. They said a truck drove by too close and caught his suit jacket on the rear underguard. The driver could not see him. They estimated his death to be about 3 miles down the highway. Dylan was dragged as the road belt sanded him alive, breaking his bones and tearing off his limbs. Finally, he was fed into the wheel well, where he was crushed repeatedly, reduced to a pace spread across 500 feet in 3 lanes. No one knew what to think. Some people were horrified. Some people thought he got exactly what he deserved. Then Kelly called me in the middle of the night sobbing and asked me to come meet her at a local bar for closing drinks. We weren't friends. I had never seen Kelly out of uniform before. In jeans and a leather jacket, she just looked like a young woman, and not some sort of sex entertainer. I just can't do it, she sobbed, as soon as I got our drinks. You can't do what? Dylan is dead. What else is there to do? I promised Mr. Barrett. What? What are you talking about? I told Mr. Barrett. I told him I wanted that motherfucker to suffer and die. And in return, I had to call my best friend's wife and tell her we had been sleeping together all these years. What happened to Dylan was an accident. You did not cause that. You do not owe anyone anything. I haven't. I swear. She cried into her drink. 3 years of marriage. They have a kid together. I can't do that to him. To any of them. You do not have to do anything. I stood up and hugged her. I understand you feel somehow responsible, but you are not. What happened to Dylan was not your fault. Whatever deal you think you made, it's not real. That was the last time I saw Kelly. It happened on a different shift. She walked into the kitchen, tripped and fell face first into the fryer. 2nd-degree burns. Loss of vision in one eye. No longer fit to be a Hooters girl. Everyone wanted to blame the management as some sort of retaliation. The case was pretty cut and dry though. Security cameras showed no one was even close to her. She just took a bad step, and that was it. 2 days after that settled down, I had the Mr. Barrett table. I did what I could to avoid it, but we were low staff. You know it's all your fault, he said to me calmly as I tried to force a smile to take his order. What? I asked, caught off balance, no matter how much I mentally braced myself for his exchange. Kelly, if she would have done it, if you didn't interfere. I don't have time for this. I broke character. What do you want? Mike and Becky are still together. You did this. Someone owes me. I don't owe you anything. I must have been loud enough for half the Hooters to hear. Tell me if you want fucking wings, or get the fuck out of the restaurant. That's not very ladylike of you. Where is that Hooters hospitality? Why don't you sit next to me, and let me tell you what I want? I caught the manager's eye looking right at me. I put my smile back on, covered my soul with every shield my mind had, and sat down next to Barrett. So what is it you want, honey? Your mother's cancer. I literally bit my tongue. I had to listen to this bullshit or quit my job on the spot. I want to know what you want. Do you want it to go into remission for 10 years? Or would you like it to spread to her brain? Fuck you, I whispered, still smiling. You can go on vacation with her this summer, or you can be making funeral arrangements in 3 weeks. And what a 3 weeks that is going to be. If the tumor finds its way to the pain center, even morphine and sedation does nothing to relieve the agony. He looked at me and I was crying. I want you to call the number on the placemat and tell the woman that will pick up you want her husband to pay for the abortion. You are going to tell her that you meet him every Thursday when he goes to poker. He has not been losing more money lately. That's him paying for the dates. But now Now he won't pay for your abortion. You will do your best to convince her of your lie and not mention anything that may lead her to think you were manipulated. I will also have my usual wings. I think you know I like them Diablo. It was 2 hours later, 2 hours after I made the call. I ruined 3 strangers' lives to give someone I loved a decade to live. Please don't ask me why I believed him. I saw the choppy black and white footage of Kelly tripping on thin air and going into the fire. I know she was upset, and I know she may have been drunk, but I saw her. I saw her grabbing at her face and silently screaming as the asshole managers showing us the footage laughed and mimicked her motions, making fake yelling sounds. Dylan and Kelly were just demonstration. The door rang, and without checking the peephole, I let a man in. He had a gun he was pulling out of his jacket, and I didn't doubt his identity. "Why did you do it?" he yelled, pointing the barrel right at me. "Is it to buy drugs? Was it just a crazy coincidence that I got another woman pregnant in the past?" He threw a few hundreds on the table. "Here's your fucking money. Now tell me why." "Yes, I needed money to buy drugs," I said softly. "She won't even listen to me. This is the one thing she won't even listen to me about." "How did you know?" "Even Kelly didn't know about that." "Tell me one fucking reason I should not shoot you." "I didn't know anything. I needed money and I got the number from Kelly. If you want to shoot me, shoot me. I don't care." It must have been the bland apathy in my voice that got him. He put down the gun on the table next to the money. "You are not worth this. If you have any decency, you should blow your own brains out. I am not going to prison for you. Sell the gun to buy more drugs. I don't care." There is a rule at Hooters. Girls can't leave the restaurant alone. It's there to protect the staff, not the customers. No one expects a psycho waitress to follow one out to his Lamborghini and empty a revolver at point blank at the driver. I probably did more damage to that car than the combination of all cars I would own in my lifetime. I didn't hit Mr. Barrett once. Maybe I was a bad shot, or maybe he was too good at being a target. I was not even officially fired. I left in handcuffs with bail higher than anyone I knew could afford. I was charged with attempt murder and thrown into the gears of the system. With my mother's money being gone to cancer treatments, I had nothing but a public defender. There were witnesses from the staff and patrons of the restaurant, but Mr. Barrett never took the stand. I never said a word about his involvement with Dylan's death. I got 15 years. Prison is its own den, filled with its own monsters. I may tell those stories some other day, but not here. What was important here is that 3 weeks after I was moved into federal, there was a Mr. Barrett there to see me. I knew without a doubt that if I talked to him, did what he wanted, I would be out of this hell within the week, if not the day. I refused to see him. He never tried again. I got out on parole in exactly 10 years for being a model prisoner. I think they also felt sorry for me, as this was exactly the week my mother's cancer came back. It was exactly like Mr. Barrett said it would be. The tumor spread to her brain. The joke was on him though. 10 years of medical research changed a death sentence to a manageable surgery. I moved in with her, and somehow after everything that happened, we were closer than ever before. I have held this story hidden in my heart until my mother's passing. Mr. Barrett, that man, he must have literally been the devil. The only power we have over him is to refuse him. That is what scares me, that at one point in my life, I will want something hard enough that Mr. Barrett finds me again. I am not afraid of the monsters in the world. I am afraid of the monsters in myself. What could I be to do with the right motivation? How many people would I let get hurt to get what I want? I feel bad about it, but what is that worth? Are Mike and Becky having better lives because I overdosed once, trying to take my own life? No. Self-pity is just another path into his arms. I must live with who I am, and who I could be, and I must never forget what darkness lurks just under the smiles of mankind. Shout out to my superfans, Sweet Black Swan, Tacy, and Brooklyn. I really appreciate you guys supporting my channel, and I really look forward to making more content for everyone.